Ranger sold his wardrobe. The Lone Ranger sold his bad dog. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know, 'cause times change, I know.
On some days, he's more than humble. On some days, he's cold and mad, mad as hell. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Those lakes of golden water, those lakes of gold are all running out. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, you say. On some days, he's more than humble. On some days, he's cold and mad, mad as hell. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Those lakes of golden water, those lakes of gold are all running out. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, you say. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, you say.
Where every day's a brand new episode. unfortunately, nobody seems terribly interested in funding my research, but I am. I will fund your research. Yeah? That'd be cool.
It's time to start the magic on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show. See the sights, so much to know across the land. Together we go, hand in hand we join the flow. Discover wonders in the Globus Show, where every day's a brand new episode on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Globus the Elder, live on the 105. What up, Twitch? What up, Cosmic? What up, Jaeger? What up, Paradigm, homie? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in my chat arena? It's your boy. It's Shaggy Saturday. We are back. We are back. We have a tremendous amount of shit talking to do today. Anthony Fantano put out a 1 hour The Battle Against AI Music on streaming. So that should be interesting. My friend and yours at Ztron appeared on the Majority Report. And shout out the Majority Report for putting out just the 22 minutes of Ed Ztron, so I didn't have to skip ahead and all that. Then, depending on time, Ed has decided, in his infinite wisdom, to put out a series of podcasts called How to Argue with an AI Booster, Part 1. Oh. Honestly, maybe I should eat something after midnight and all that. Maybe I will turn into something new. Explore the possibilities, my friend. Explore the possibilities. It's almost never a bad time to eat something. And then I got some other shit to get into, again, depending on time. I'm not in a particular hurry. I'm a bit lit off a bean, and I have one of them there canned margarita joints. So I am feeling some kind of way. We're going to have some fun. Chocolate is a good choice. Chocolate is excellent. I do love chocolate. One of my favorite things about the job that I have is that I get every day I work, I get money to use, not like cash, but like an account to use to buy food. And I run every single dollar of that joint, and I bring food home. And I really haven't bought myself food since I started working there. Like, it is rare that I have to buy something for me at the grocery store. So I'm going to call that a double win. Double win. All right, before we get into the content, let's hear from David.
What is it about robots that makes them so robotic? At Wayland Industries, it has long been our goal to create artificial intelligence almost indistinguishable from mankind itself. Hello, I'm David.
What can you do, David?
I can do almost anything that could possibly be asked of me. I can assist your employees. I can make your organization more efficient.
What up, Beef?
I can carry out directives that my human counterparts might find distressing or unethical. I can blend in with your workforce effortlessly.
David, what do you think about?
I think about anything. Children playing. Angels. The universe. Robots.
David, what makes you sad?
War. Poverty. Cruelty. Unnecessary violence. I understand human emotions, although I do not feel them myself. This allows me to be more efficient and capable, and makes it easier for my human counterparts to interact with me.
Is there anything you would like to say, David?
I would like to express gratitude to those who created me. Happy birthday, David. From Wayland Industries. Eighth generation Wayland type. Technological, intellectual, physical, emotional.
Hey everyone, Anthony.
Hold on, Anthony. Hold on. I've actually never seen that before. I'm disappointed that I had never seen that before. Y'all know that I am a fan of the Aliens franchise, and y'all know that I like all of it. And Alien Earth is phenomenal. It's absolutely some of the fucking creepiest, like it just feels some kind of way, and it's all they're a lot more world building that they're getting into. Fan fucking tastic. Highly recommend it. What up, Open Set? You're just in time to hear me argue with Anthony Fantano for at least an hour. At least an hour. Well, I hope you enjoy my commentary. Doing this?
Hey everyone, Anthony Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you're doing well. And it's time, I think, for a very significant exclusive conversation that came as a result of a pretty big video that we did on this channel recently, where I ranked and tiered out all of the major music streaming platforms available to you today. Something we did on the channel because as we have done more coverage of crapping on how awful Spotify is, the most popular music streaming platform.
Spotify, the platform itself, the tool itself is I love it. Everything else about Spotify other than their app is hot garbage, and I hate it all.
out there, we've been getting more and more questions about, Anthony, what service should I be using instead? What other services are out there? And what other sort of aspects of music streaming should I be considering when choosing a different service? Now, this video actually got more of a response than I thought it would from inside and outside of the industry, because I actually have gotten some companies reaching out, asking to have a conversation or do some kind of follow-up, which is kind of weird because it has me feeling like my opinions might actually matter for once. But anyway, one of the companies that reached out in the midst of...
Okay, Anthony always believes his opinions matter, not just for once.
All of this actually has been Deezer, and them specifically I was curious to have a conversation with, because they are one of the few streaming platforms out there currently that have actually taken a position on AI music. They are currently trying to tag and label any songs on the platform that happen to be AI generated, so users know what they are listening to. So yeah, I was curious as to how and why they've gone about doing that, and was also curious about the company's general ethos when it comes to paying artists, since stream payouts are also a really huge topic in the music industry.
Fair.
And interestingly enough, I didn't get handed some random PR person to talk to. Who I talked with for this conversation was actually the company's CEO, Alexis Lantonnier, who basically answered all my questions about not only artist payouts on the platform today, but AI music and its proliferation in the streaming age. So let's get into that conversation now. Let's begin with some quick baseline questions, just to kind of like get a general sense of Deezer as a platform.
That dude may be AI generated.
You know, if you have a ballpark off the top of your head, like how large exactly is the Deezer user base currently? You know, the people you're seeing use the platform on a regular basis, and how many sort of accounts, I guess, broadly are on the platform?
Yes, of course. So Deezer is one of the pioneer of the streaming era. It started 17 years ago. Was born and raised in France. It's now 10 million subscriber, so paying subscriber.
I've never heard of it, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything in and of it itself.
And roughly 1 million monthly active users.
Thank you very much. I also have a collection of other implements of destruction. There's an axe right here. I had to get a new axe for my recent trip to the Renaissance Fair. So that was cool. It's always nice to get a new axe.
User that are using the free service. So basically, you know, the first kind of independent platform, if you don't count the big guys, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And obviously the reason that we're talking today is that, or at least part of the reason is that Deezer has taken a pretty strong public stance on AI music being actively tagged and labeled on the platform. It's a topic that I've been talking about regularly on my channel and just kind of the streaming industry in general. To sort of start kind of wading into that topic, when exactly did you guys start to notice not AI music burgeoning as a trend, but it's starting to become a bit of a presence on the platform itself? Like, how exactly did you guys come to, I guess, realize the size or scope of the amount of AI music that was being uploaded to Deezer on presumably a regular basis?
No, it's a good question. How do we start there? I think it's mostly the commitment that we have on detecting fraud. One of the big topic, you know, in the streaming industry, we can talk more about that later, but it's the fact that we have 70% of our subscription cost that goes to right holder, and then you have to define who do you give that money? And a lot of people are trying to gain the system and take some money out of that pool. And there, you know, for a long time, being a lot of fraud, we usually identify around 8% of the fraud, of the stream being fraud. And in that work to identify fraud, what we saw probably 2 years ago or 2024, mostly, is that people were uploading more and more songs. So before it was, you know, if I look at 2021, 2022, we had 150,000 songs uploaded every week on the platform. Now we are more around 1 million. So we saw a massive increase of song coming. And as a result, fraud being a bit more difficult to spot. And so we identified one angle, which was actually the fraudster to be able to generate so many songs to try to gain the system. We're using apps that enable you, like Suno, to create with just one prompt. In a few seconds, enables you to create a song. And that's how we came to build a tool that enable us to identify all the songs that are being created by all those type of apps. And so the tool that we built was ready end of 2024. And we started to identify all the songs like beginning of 2025. We were in public about it. It was roughly around 10% in January this year. So 10% of the upload we were able to identify. And it was 18% in May. And now it's just announcing to you, by the way, it's the first time, it's up to 28%. So it's really increasing massively. It's around 30,000 songs every day that are uploaded to our platform that are coming right from those apps.
Oh, okay. So wait a second. I want to rewind a second because I think that was a pretty significant statistic there. You're talking about this transition from 2023 into 2024. And in that time, just this exponential increase in the amount of songs that are being uploaded on a weekly basis on the platform.
Yeah, so in 2022 was 150,000 songs per week uploaded on the platform. 2025, 3 years.
Yeah.
1 million times 6.
Okay.
In just 3 years.
And you're attributing that increase mostly to AI, or is it just a part of a broader trend of people just uploading more music to the internet, just personally?
That's a good question. A big chunk of that is AI, clearly, because now we can see, almost 30% of it is 100% coming from those apps.
What up, Ben?
At least that's what we are able to identify. Probably there is other factor into it. I think the fact that overall there is more tool to create music clearly lower the bar to be an artist and to create song. And so that's a general trend, I think, of more tools enabling the song creation.
Got it. And just to sort of, in your own sort of view.
And AI is a tool to enable song creation.
An experience here, you brought up, or we brought up AI. And when you initially talked about it being uploaded onto the platform, you spoke about it specifically in the context of it being used as a tool to kind of like game the Deezer system and potentially sort of like, make a profit off of, I guess, just uploading so much music to the platform, just this proliferation of AI. In your view, from what you
people using AI to write job applications, companies using AI to read and discard the job applications, and nobody getting hired. Seems like the same kind of problem. Just scams all over, spinning wheel, doing nothing, odd times. Like, I would say that it's a response, right? That people using AI to write job applications is a response to the nature of the way that applying for a job has gone, right? And like, I'm not a good example because I did use AI to write my job applications for my resume for the last 2 jobs I got, but I also knew somebody and I interview extremely well. So I don't count, I don't think. Yeah, Ben, I mean, that's always what I try to provide, right? A little something different. Music listening bots are listening to AI music. Excuse me. But prior to music listening bots listening to AI music, they were listening to human music, right? And so the bots actually predate the AI in that way.
You've been seeing from these AI uploads, artists, quote unquote, and various accounts. Does all of this engagement seem to be fraudulent in nature, the vast majority of it, or do you come across people and accounts who sort of genuinely seem to believe in their hearts in some way, shape, or form, like, no, I'm a real artist, I'm just using this platform to do this, and this is me like expressing myself?
It's a very interesting question.
I see you're trying not to laugh there. You're trying not to offend the AI.
He actually did laugh. Having the look of a Unix COBOL guru, I definitely take that as a compliment. The job that I currently have has absolutely nothing to do with coding, and I myself am not a coder in any way, shape, or form. I don't want to steal valor from any of the fine coders that we have in the community. No, I am responsible for making sure that people in hospitals, the beard helps in all things. People in hospital get food and get food in a dignified, respectful manner to the best of my ability. Right, like it's a whole thing, and to improve the general atmosphere, because I am the most positive guy. I'm a supervisor. I supervise the line, not the cooking line, but the creation of the tray and its transportation into the carts that then take it to the patients and distribute it to the patients. So the entire logistical aspect of its distribution around the hospital is what I am involved with. And I'm not the only supervisor, but let's just say I am well liked because of my approach. I think it's incredibly important work. There are people in this hospital who have literally been in the hospital for years, right? And like this is their home, and that is, to me, weird and disturbing, and a lot to deal with from that point of view. So, being that this is your home, like your food experience, I think should be taken, with the utmost importance. And then we also handle like when someone is going to pass, right? Like they are, they have friends and family visitors coming in, and we provide what's called the comfort cart, and I take the creation and I take the comfort carts very seriously, and they weren't before I got there. I mean, they, like, I don't, again, I'm not shitting on any of the other supervisors. It's people would use the carts for various purposes, not just the comfort cart. And since I have been there, I've been just adamant about making sure that the comfort carts are there and available and properly assembled and everything else for these grieving families, right? And done in a very particular way, very organized way, so that these people who are going through this emotional tragedy, they don't have to like make decisions, right? If they want some, it's coffee and snacks and things like that, and they can just see what they want and take it, right? Like that kind of thing. Like no additional mental burden. When they pull open the little drawer of sweeteners, they're all neatly divided, right? Like we offer sugar and sweet and low and equal and Splenda and the other one, and they're all like, I have divided. You ever go and you see the sweeteners? They're all kind of just shoved into a container. Mine are divided, right? And easy to pull out the whole thing. I take it very seriously. Hi, Stamby. Want to come up? You're a little late. I think we're going to take a snack break. Yeah, the less friction, the better. And also, like, there has been some, I don't know, like conflict with the nurses prior to me getting there. And I've also gone out of my way to eliminate that, right? I'm very diplomatic, and I create an environment where, like, even if I can't attend to a particular need at every single moment, I make it understood that I'm doing everything that I can, right? Like within that context. You know, it's nice to have work that matters, and it's nice to have work that I can take pride in. And also, like, I do my best to make the people I work with feel valued, right? Feel valued, feel part of something, and feel recognized, right? Like, I can't just hand out more money, but you will understand that I actually give a shit about you, and I will point you out. Hi. I will point you out, like, to management and everything else, because I want to make sure that when you go to try to get a raise, because usually what happens in a work type situations is the only thing that anybody knows about you is when something bad happens. You know what I mean? You get written up for something and like that, and then you come in to get a raise, and you basically have to defend yourself, right? Like your record and why you should get a raise. And I think as a supervisor, we can do better, right? Like if somebody's doing, right? Like, take today. There was a dude who just got written up for leaving work early and like not telling anybody. But today, he was the first person that I saw in the building, right? So I wanted to recognize that, right? So I made sure that ended up in the end of shift report. There were three people: the person who starts the tray, the person who was working the hot portion, and the person who working the cold portion. They were all kind of like helping each other. What up, Pharaoh? They were all helping each other, right? Like just because they could. They had the capacity and capability, and they were all and just doing it. And that's a beautiful thing. And I wanted to make sure that got recognized. And also, like, the person who was supposed to check the tray and make sure that the tray is all correct, they called and said they were going to be late, and it's like, okay. Had another person there, and I know that they're a good checker, and they wanted to do that instead of what they were going to be doing. I said, you got the job, right? Step up. And that's the kind of thing. And so it was all noted in the end of shift report. And, me and another supervisor were on that time. So, palliative care is responsible work, not to be taken lightly. Hospitals in general. A well-run system helps everybody from cradle to grave. Except for the fire department, I can't think of a more important function in society. I agree. But enough about that. This video isn't as much fun as I thought it was going to be. I think he's about to make a joke about offending the AI overlords, but, like, they're really just talking about this platform.
You'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war.
What up, Reed? Pharaoh. 7 months. Thank you, homie. I appreciate you. What do y'all think? This is just like, we'll give it another little bit. But if it doesn't pick up and give me like really, I'm kind of stretching to, um, to respond to anything, to react, and I don't want. I know Ed Ztron is going to give me much better fuel. But we'll give it a little bit more because he's about to say something.
AI artists out there, it's okay. You can laugh. This is a safe space. It's
I
okay.
think it's a very interesting question and very important one. What do we define as art? I think first thing, and that's a no-brainer, is we have solution to identify what is fraud. We have solution to identify what is 100% AI generated, meaning coming from those apps. What we see is that 70% of those songs that were uploaded were then linked to fraudulent activity. So we see a very clear link between I'm fully coming from those apps and I have a fraudulent behavior. And the fraudulent behavior, just so that everybody knows, is basically they upload a song, then they have fake account that triggers some streams to try to game the system of playlists.
So they're like botting this.
Okay, so those are two different things. Now he's not wrong in what he's talking about, but yeah, that's like I have no issue with creating songs with AI and uploading them to a music app and making money off it. There's no issue. I just don't like. I think the record stands. But using bots to fake the listening, right? Now that's a bridge too far. That is a violation of terms of service. That's fraudulent activity, as he says. So I don't in any way, shape, or form endorse or condone any of that type of behavior.
Songs. They're having the songs be streamed through some other sort of like third platform party, as you say, something fake, fraudulent.
And we flag those accounts. And so as a result, we're able to find that 70% of the 100% AI generated song are fraudulent. So it still leaves you to 30%, right? That doesn't seem to be fraudulent, but it still tells you that the massive majority of it is fraudulent.
Got it. So you have those 30% of AI artists whose heart is really into it. They're putting their soul into it.
Possibly.
Fuck you, you snarky son of a bitch.
Okay, possibly. We're not gonna. We can't really read their minds. We can't tell. So you're talking about some of these platforms that people are generating this music from, and maybe this is something we'll dig into later. But when you're talking about this AI generated music, what's being tagged as AI generated music generally is just music that is being wholly generated through these platforms. Like from what I guess you may or may not detect, additional sort of like, human, I guess what you might want to say is, I don't know, interference, creativity, additions to the music that's being generated anyway, I suppose. When you're talking about these platforms that people are generating this music off of, how exactly, because obviously every person can't go over who's working at the company, go over through all of these songs personally and just say, oh, this is AI, this is not, this is AI, this is not. What sort of tools and what have you are you guys using on the back end to be able to sort of pick this stuff up instantaneously and, tell what is what without having to waste, thousands of man hours on having somebody listen to every single song and determine it that way?
Yes, it's 1 million songs every week. So indeed, that's not possible.
Right.
The specificity of Deezer is that we have a R&D team for the past 10 years working on AI, because AI was a great tool for us for a long time to create the recommendation system. And we have been working on.
So it's AI. He's using AI to spot the AI. Now, I would hope, and based on this dude's character so far, I would believe that there's some sort of appeal process if, like, you just happen to make music that sounds like AI music, right? There should be an appeals process so that you can say, hey, I actually did that. Here's a video of me making, a song or some shit like that. I don't know how often that might happen, but it should be there. If it's good, it's good. The tool is relatively unimportant. I've heard some really good stuff, especially co-written ones. And we are still in the start phase. So much experimentation will be necessary. But capitalism, yes. And that's ultimately like a theme of the channel. I know you're not around super often. Most people's complaints about AI are actually complaints about capitalism. And I agree, right? Like, I don't agree with any of their takes around AI. I agree with all of their takes around capitalism, generally speaking.
Improving our ability to filter the catalog, to fight against fraud. So all that team doing research and development is able, have built tools around catalog analysis and recommendation. So what they have built is a solution which is a little bit like, fighting fire with fire, meaning fighting using AI solution to be able to detect AI. So basically it's generating a lot of song from those apps. And then with machine learning, you can identify pattern. Basically, those apps have some kind of.
So this guy's R&D team used Suno and Udio and whatever else to make a whole bunch of songs to then train their AI to spot the AI created music. Anthony is probably having a moment right now.
AI generative engine.
Yeah, I'm anti-copyright law. Not the law. The law, like, I'm anti-copyright. I'm anti-IP. I'm anti all of that stuff. It's done the most damage. Like, there's so much that we haven't done, which we can't measure, obviously. But there's so much we haven't done because someone owns some particular patent or some bullshit like that. I find the entire thing like reprehensible.
And those things
Can you imagine if someone had like patented the Archimedes screw? Do you think we'd be where we're at?
Create a small pattern in the audio files that you can track, and so we identify those, knowing that they update very regularly. So it's a little bit of work to keep up, obviously, but that's something that we have automated. And then based on that, we can identify a score of what percentage of the song seems to be AI generated. And then I'm not going to go into all the secret sauce, of course, but we're basically trying to be a bit conservative, to not create too many false positive, and to allow artists that wants to partially use.
That's nice, right? Like, it sounds like this guy is legit. I like him. Deezer. I'm gonna check out the app.
AI, as long as we believe that there is some part of it that is creative, and we know it's not all the album and all the discography of the artist that is AI. We think it's fine. So we kind of define a score, and below, if the score is too high, meaning there's too much that seems to be all created 100% by AI, that's when we start to flag the song or the album basically as being AI generated.
When you're talking about some of these patterns that are turning up in this AI generated music,
neat. Deezer has. What up, Silverlight? Deezer has a. If you're not familiar with Shazam, the app that can, like, if it listens to a song, it can tell you what the song is. They have their own built in, which is cool because, like, right now I have Shazam connected to my Spotify, and it's got the lyrics, got little music quizzes I don't care about. And allegedly, when switching to Deezer, you won't lose any of your playlists and favorites. It has a free app, which I assume has commercials, and then their paid service starts at $12 a month. Might be a good alternative. Might be a good alternative. No, I don't want to install it on my watch. What do you?
That are being detected through what tools you guys have created on the platform. Are these like general patterns that are recognizable across all AI music, or are they specific to the platforms that they're coming from? Like, oh, this is a Suno type pattern, this is a UDO type pattern.
And just to be clear, this is not pattern you can hear, right?
It's something the AI or automation itself is recognizing.
It's just in the audio track that you can see there is tons of signals, and in all those signals there will be some specific pattern. They will be all linked not only to the specific app, but to the specific version of the app. So each time they update their software, we'll have to retrain the whole thing to catch the new sound coming from that.
You talk about some of these primary platforms, like again, Suno and UDO, that you're having to detect these patterns specifically from. Are there?
Okay, so on their front screen, I'm seeing Beatles, Taylor Swift, Clapton, Stevie Wonder, David Bowie. Give me something kind of obscure. Reed, I'm looking at you. Give me something that would really that I might find on Spotify, but might not find elsewhere. Mayonnaise is a thing that exists, apparently. John Mayer, that's mayonnaise, right? I have to choose 9 more artists. Mayonnaise is here. Oh, like an artist. Mayonnaise is an artist, apparently. Bus driver? I think bus driver, I don't know. Because bus driver's in that Aesop adjacent world. Bus drivers here. Oh, and now it changed up its offerings, its recommendations of the 10 bands I might like. And it's given me Open Mike Eagle, Aesop Rock, Charlie Tuna. I love Charlie. Yeah, every time I tap something, it gives me more, it's, pushing me in that direction. Open Mike Eagle does stream on Twitch, yes. I follow Open Mike Eagle. Sorry, I'm just trying to bust out quickly to kind of get to a place to see the next step. Back to the video.
I don't know, without I'm trying to think of how to phrase this, because obviously I don't want to open a can of worms here per se, but in your experience, without maybe coming up with a laundry list, are there other competing burgeoning platforms out there as well that you guys are right now working to, or even to some degree struggling to detect, because it's different, it's new, we haven't sort of had a whole ton of songs from this particular app uploaded from there yet, and we're still sort of recognizing whatever those patterns are?
Honestly, for now, the technology works pretty well. It's pretty easy to onboard, per se, a new app. The usage is pretty concentrated, which means the top guys are probably
Okay, and then it does the same thing that Spotify does. It's got a daily made for you list, or a few of them. It's got playlists you'll love, West Coast Essentials, jazzy hip hop, one hit, one sample, 100% Method Man, 100% Run the Jewels, album new releases. Apparently, people have been recording at the Deezer studio at Deezer HQ.
You'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war.
Ribbons. Back 10 months. You'll love to see it. Thank you, homie. And then it's got like radio stations like Virgin Radio, CNN, Europe 1, whatever that is. 80s in the mix. So yeah, no, it looks neat. It looks neat.
You'll be back like before.
A good job.
I will fight the fight and win the war.
Old Lobster, it must be that time. Is it that time of the month? Old Lobster, 30 months, an OG, just short of a day one. I appreciate the wind beneath my wings. The reason that my voice sings when people subscribe. The man, the myth, the legend, the antinatalist, Old Lobster. I don't have an applause button.
Because it's pretty concentrated in terms of what we can see in terms of song coming. They are mostly coming from the same app.
Yeah, so basically like they've promoted themselves so
I didn't consent to some of the things you've done with my voice, so even
well that most of the AI generation is being already concentrated to just a handful of small companies.
But adding a new one is not very complex, and the tools that we have built works for any of them.
Got it. Okay. So, moving from here as far as like the company philosophy, because again, this is part of the reason that we're having.
Is that what that means? Because Spotify actually lets you do that on device, right? So like if I have stuff uploaded to my phone, I can put my stuff uploaded to my phone on playlists as well. That's how I played a lot of those songs that Old Lobster made covers of.
In this conversation in the first place, you guys are detecting this stuff. You're realizing that it's on the platform. You're seeing how much of it is being uploaded. And, you're also picking up on, these instances of fraud as a result of the tracks being placed on the platform and then being botted. And I'm sure all stream platforms are sort of experiencing this on some level. But
the AI Daily Brief has their podcast on here as well.
To my knowledge, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like Deezer is the only, or at least the loudest thus far, as far as major streaming platforms go, to come out and label this stuff and warn listeners and make them aware more than they would be on another platform of when they're running across AI generated music. What made you guys decide to take that extra step that some other companies right now, I guess, just haven't so far?
It's a very excellent question.
It might be like, I know that a bunch of people are concerned about the ethics of using Spotify, and fair enough, right? So it might be an actual alternative that actually works. We don't know what their payout is. We don't know how much more ethical they are than Spotify. There may be some European laws that actually work in artists' favor in that regard. But it could be an option, right? Like, I'm not going to shit on something that meets a need that people have. You know what I mean?
And I cannot talk for the other, obviously. So for us, it was again,
just the reason you did it.
No, it was identifying fraud, and then we thought our tool was working well, and so there is two reasons. One, we wanted to check that our tool is really good, And second, it was an ask from our user. We actually survey our user and we say, hey, do you want to know? Are you interested in that? And that was the kind of the two reasons. First, by tagging it, we have a lot of checks. A lot of people are checking on different platforms, an artist doing well on another platform and being tagged as AI for us. They are reaching out to us and saying, some of them are saying, hey, it's not AI. Why did you put that? And we had 60 claims on this since June. We thoroughly investigated all of them and we were right in all of the cases. So that helped us a lot, making sure that our tool is actually good. And we had very, very positive feedback from a lot of users. Actually, a lot more users joining the platform since then. We've seen a significant influx of subscribers. And so it comforted us in the fact that this was the right decision.
Okay. I want to dig further into that, but to sort of like dig specifically into that comment that you just made, you guys have had some back and forths and responses from you.
I mean, it's an if we get hit with a new Carrington event. But probably, I mean, it'll bring back AM radio, right? Like the circumstances around which, like any sort of solar flare, EMP blast, anything that would do massive amounts of damage, we don't actually know how our systems would react to that kind of thing, right? So I don't. It's an if. It might not do anything.
Users or artists who have
anything major anyway.
What debated the claim that something that they uploaded was AI, and you guys double checked and made sure that it was.
Yeah, I mean, it can probably happen regularly. The but is that you have to remember that the vast majority of like projecting out from the sun, the vast majority of that space doesn't have the Earth in it. So a Carrington event might occur, right? There might be some huge, massive solar ejection, and we could be on the opposite side of the sun at that point in time,
To your knowledge, nothing has been labeled as AI thus far on the Deezer platform that didn't actually end up being AI?
Not yet, no.
Okay. But again,
Yeah, I can go right to Spotify and I can go right to Spotify if I can sign into Spotify. And apparently transfer all my stuff if I can actually do it with Spotify. I originally signed up for Spotify through Facebook, and it's been nothing but a fucking hassle.
Was there something for you personally, or sort of, a general sense in, I don't know, the boardroom, whatever you want to call it, or, that made you guys initially even begin to ask the question, like, oh, maybe we should ask the users, do they even care about this? Was there something sort of like, in terms of your own personal views as a music fan that made you feel like, this kind of seems like something that, we should take a stance on in some way, shape, or form? Because, making sure that users are aware of what they're listening to, it's not exactly a neutral stance per se.
No, I think Deezer DNA is very clearly firm on the fact that Deezer wants to support the music industry. That is something that, we are very loud about. We did a lot of other work in terms of fraud, increasing the payouts, working.
There's never any funding for fixing things before it happens.
For a fairer remuneration system with artist-centric. And so that was also, a big ask from the industry to do something about it. And that was the other reason, that pushed us to say, okay, let's do something about it. That's what the industry wants. That's actually also what the user wants. And so we said, yeah, why not? Let's try it.
Okay. With the tools that you guys have been sort of using to detect this stuff so far, and you talk about like there having to be rebuilds of the system and tweaks that may need to come into play every single time they come out with a new version, and it's being updated every time. With the patterns and progression that you've been watching.
My playlist contained a total of 26,535 tracks. That number went up to 26,618. There are 2 missing from my favorite songs so far out of 502. Interesting.
From your position of AI music so far, do you foresee it reaching a point in the near distant future where it becomes almost undetectable or just much harder to detect than it is currently?
I think there is a risk for sure. I mean, it's very hard to predict, how powerful and where AI generative will lead us. So it's hard to predict. The team is working super hard to keep up with the progress. I think there is also a new solution. I think, to be fair, our current solution is not that complex. We're just generating song and running regression analysis to identify some patterns. That's not that complicated. We can actually do much more complex stuff. We have a tool called Radar that we developed in the past, which enabled to do a map of all the songs that we have, the 100 millions of songs we have in the catalog, and to identify which one is close to which one. And that's also a solution that will help us, we think, in the future too, because when people create songs with AI solution, they tend to be very similar in some sort of way. So we believe there will be, new and more complex solution that will come, that will enable us, even if they manage to get rid of those patterns, that will enable us to still identify those songs. And it's, it's going to be a fascinating topic, not only for the music industry. That's why we want to keep investing in this, because identifying AI will be a core topic for a lot of industry in the coming future.
I think another kind of essential pattern to potentially observe here is, as you were kind of saying over the last several years, just seeing the sheer amount and increase of this stuff being uploaded on a regular basis. Do you foresee in the near future a paradigm where half or maybe even most of the songs that are getting uploaded are AI generated? And could that potentially lead to a point where, I don't know, you as a company have to say, I don't know, there's only so much server space we can allow for this stuff. Like, we have to start turning it away or doing something, because I'm sure that to just allow this to openly flood any platform with no protections or guardrails whatsoever can make a pretty huge mess.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, civilization ending is kind of loaded. Other civilizations, right? Like that word in and of itself has its own problems. But a civilization of ending event has happened before, right? And now we have where we're at. Every so often some shit goes haywire because the entire structure that you built your whatever around, right? Like there, what is it, Magendo Daro, something like that. That was a civilization ending event for those folks. There have been all sorts of, like, every place where there's ruins, right? There was a civilization, and that civilization ended. And people felt it was a civilization and ending. There you go. I mean, the coffee's an important one because, that may become increasingly hard to come by. Yay, tariffs.
That's something we're starting to think about. One option that will solve the problem will be to start, charging a one-off cost for any song upload. That would be a simple solution, like, just a small one, because the business model of, trying to upload a lot of song will disappear as soon as you start charging, even $1 per song upload. So I think that will be maybe a solution to put in place if that become, unmanageable.
Yeah, I mean, forcing these people to actually pay to torture all of us with this stuff, I mean, it might actually curb it a little bit, So I mean, it's worth thinking about. So currently, right now, the platform.
Did Anthony used to be a smoker? I noticed he's got a toothpick, and that's some people just pick up the toothpick, but it's one thing that people use to help quit smoking, right? It handles the tactile and the having something to do, the oral fixation, that's the word.
Platform has a certain position when it comes to like labeling this stuff. What is Deezer's stance currently? And I feel like you've addressed this to an extent, talking about how people are kind of using AI music to sort of game the system by uploading it and then having it be botted, and obviously you guys are kind of picking up those patterns. But currently, what is Deezer's stance on just monetizing AI music in general?
Yeah, I mean, it could be that, and some people do the thing like cinnamon toothpicks or mint toothpicks and that kind of stuff. And a toothpick is a handy tool.
Currently, is it monetized on the platform just like anything else is? Like, if the...
It was funny. We're at the Renaissance Fair, and they do a thing called peace tie, right? Where they take like zip ties and tie them around, because like I'm wearing a sax knife and an axe on my hip in this place, to why wouldn't you, and so they tie them so that like just in case things pop off in that regard. Sorry, Open Set, we don't allow the LUL emote around here. So sorry, that's what caught your comment. But yes. But they peace tied my weapons, and they had a candy shop in there, and the candy shop had these candy sticks that were about yay long, under half an inch thick kind of thing. And I spent my time fashioning the candy stick into a shiv, right? Because I'm never without a weapon.
New Velvet Sundown album goes platinum, just off of Deezer streams. Are they getting paid just the same as any other artist would at this moment?
So the first step is now they are all removed since, I think, Feb. All removed from playlists and recommendation. That prevent them to kind of manage by tricks to gain the system and to get some additional stream, and that's for now the stance we took, because if by chance it become very successful and people want to listen to a song, they should be able to find it. And so for now, if people find it and listen actively to it, they will actually get monetized. But we are preventing the fraud by making sure they not get recommended into playlist and recommendation.
Okay. So, I mean, again, it's monetized like anything else, but people actually have to go out and actively look for it.
Yes.
But still, with that being said, like, have you guys seen on the back end, because I'm sure just like any other platform, you're able to observe all sorts of insane, crazy engagement metrics in terms of like how many times the song played, is it skipped, how far do people listen into it, so on and so forth. Since labeling a lot of music on the platform as AI, since you have you guys been able to see on the back end if that's kind of created any sort of like pattern or engagement differences? Like, once something is labeled AI, have you observed people listen to it less? Is it less exposure time? Is it less clicks? Like, has it impacted the amount of engagement these songs get generally once, sort of users see a clear label on it?
Well, yeah, because it's no longer recommended, so less people are going to see it. This is a dipshit question.
On it.
A better question is like, do people actually listen to AI music?
We didn't get the data yet on this because the problem is
There is a story. I started doing it because Hildebeest started doing it, and Hildebeest had done it and told their chat why. The LUL emote features a person named Total Biscuit, and Total Biscuit is a transphobe. No matter how many people try to rehabilitate his image post his death, he was a transphobe, and he can suck it.
it's a new topic, and we reacted quite fast. So before it became big, we started to label it. So it's more qualitative data. It's like survey to user. You were mentioning this Velvet.
What up, terrorist?
Sandan, I think the impact it had on people that were oh, listen to that song, and then oh, actually.
It's not going to go on much longer, Cosmic. There are some interesting bits for me because I do give a shit about AI in the music industry. And this is actually the question that I would like to hear because we know that people who don't want AI are very loud about it. But what about people who do, right? Like people who do enjoy AI music. Is there some sort of metric that can be shown that it's increasing in popularity, decreasing in popularity, staying about the same? I'll take anything, right? I like data, and I would like the data, please. And thank you.
It's AI, and then the reaction before and after is so different that the feeling based on those qualitative data that it will significantly impact what people know. But mass data we don't have because it's just so new and so recent that it's not significant enough.
Okay. I mean,
and I'm good. If you want to watch the rest of this was not the content generating machine that I had hoped it was. But I still I found a new music app, and I'm at 24,600 out of 26,000. And I hope some of you have found a new app that you can, recommend to people who want, want an alternative to Spotify, but that basically appears to function just like Spotify in its functionality. And at least according to this guy, they're more ethical when it comes to payouts. Not all my Spotify songs are here. Like this one has 8 missing tracks. If I click on this, will you show me the missing tracks? You will. Yes. Nice. Okay, so it looks like this one is some Jesse Dangerously songs. Jesus Christ. Someone else created a playlist that has 4,300 songs on it, 4,400. And all but 34 of them are here. One off the Natural Born Killers soundtrack. Which one is that? Doom Taka Doom by Brent Lewis. So yeah, I think that Deezer is actually a potential alternative. And once it's done, it will provide you with a CSV of all your missing tracks. So out of 29, almost 29,000 tracks that I have in various playlists on Spotify, it missed 226 of them. So I'll take it, right? Like I'll take it, and then we'll go from there. Nice. And you can have it sync automatically. So anything that I do on Spotify will still be transferred. Oh, okay. Sync monitoring costs $2 a month. So we won't be doing that. But yeah. Yeah, no, it seems legit. Yeah, that's actually what I'm hoping, Pharaoh. Speaking of alternatives, now to train myself into the habit of typing, yes. Type lol for the homies. What up, Larry? What up, Non-Lawrence? Thank you for the subscription.
You say the price of my love's not a price that you're willing to pay.
12 months. 12 months. I count the entire thing in spite of the string. 12 months. 1 year. 1 year of Larry. We were watching this Fantano video. And we are moving on. Now time for the Ztron experience. Whew. AI bubble already bursting? Ed Ztron, the Majority Report.
We are back, and we are joined now by Ed Ztron, host of the Better Offline podcast and publisher of the Where's Your Ed At on Substack. Ed, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Sorry? On Ghost.
On
It's on
Ghost.
I don't support
I'm so
Substack.
sorry.
No, it's
I'm
okay.
so...
Everyone makes this mistake. It's okay.
It's okay. I mean, our newsletter is on Ghost too, right? And I never even remember. But yes,
It's not a big deal.
That's the one that isn't, I guess, funded by...
Well, one of the things I pointed out earlier was how... Oh, no, you have to pay to sync. So my tracks are not on... my tracks are on Deezer, but if I'm not paying to sync it, then they're not syncing it. So I currently do not have all my playlists on Deezer. One of the things I noticed was Jesse Dangerously. Jesse Dangerously is a Canadian hip hop artist, and I would say it's probably yours synced to mine didn't. Because I'm looking at my profile right now and nothing has happened. I don't know. I'll fuck with it later. Because it's really interesting for you guys to watch me play with my phone. It's possible that Jesse Dangerously just hasn't uploaded his songs to Deezer, right? Like it's another kind of thing. And again, I didn't know about Deezer until today. Maybe. All right, back to Where's Your Ed At?
A bunch of Silicon
Isn't
Valley
recommending things with swastikas, no.
No, yeah, that's helpful. Ed, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Of course.
So I know you're asked this every single day, so I will ask this question, but then amend it. You're probably asked every day, when is this damn AI bubble going to burst? So my question to you is not when, but how is it going to burst?
So thanks to Oracle, we are now set up for a very obvious collapse, which is, so yesterday it was announced that Oracle had, well, it was day before yesterday during their earnings, where they missed on everything. They said they had $317 billion of new new customer revenue incoming over the next from financial year 2027. Turned out that $300 billion of that is from OpenAI, a company that loses billions of dollars a year and has never had more than $16 billion in the bank. So Oracle's stock jumped 40% and a bunch of others jumped with it. So just to be clear also, it came out from the Financial Times a couple of weeks ago that OpenAI's non-profit conversion is going to be delayed until next year because Microsoft is not really moving on the negotiations.
Microsoft has worked that out as of today. I got an alert on my phone that they worked that shit out. So again, Ed is wrong. Ed doesn't know what he's fucking talking about because Ed has decided AI is bad and therefore it is going to collapse, and we just wait for Ed to continue to be wrong about stuff.
So
also, there was this thing that there was another Ed video, a podcast thing, where Ed was talking about how part of the bubble was the fact that NVIDIA, more than 50% of their revenue, their data center revenue, comes from just 3 customers, right? Sounds bad, right? Like that's a thing. But by using AI, I did an analysis, right? And the analysis is that, can you go away? Thank you. It is not unusual, right? Foxconn is a company. Foxconn appears to be doing well. Foxconn has 1 customer. Now, if that customer were to fail, that might be bad for Foxconn, but and then there's a whole thing here talking about like the pros and the cons of a minimal amount of customers, right? And here's a Cirrus Logic only has like generally a single customer, which is Apple. I'm sorry. Percentage of revenue. It's not Foxconn that has 1 customer, Apple. Foxconn has 1 customer that is the majority of the revenue, which in this case is 54%, which is Apple. Cirrus Logic, around 80% of their revenue comes from Apple, and like that, right? So it's not unusual. So yeah, just Ed being Ed.
It's a very complex way of saying that this will end because OpenAI will probably die. And no.
Why? Why will OpenAI probably die? Why? Yes, he is. But he is very short on the details as to why. Why would that happen, Larry?
No one likes this story. No one wants to talk to me about it too much in the tech media right now because
you're literally on the Majority Report talking to people about this story. So, right? This is this is Ed Ztron. Part of Ed Ztron's grift is the he does the classic, this is the story nobody wants to talk about, right? This is the truth, brother. The government aliens are controlled by the mind control in HARP, and it's that same grift. It's the same grift. He's grifting. I know that there are people on YouTube in my comments who are like, Ed Ztron is not a grifter, and I'm telling you he is. The money bubble might collapse, but the AI stuff is not going anywhere. Yeah, because if you look at the bubbles, the previous bubbles that people like to refer to, like the tulip bubble or the .com bubble or the home PC bubble or the internet bubble or whatever else bubble, the technology remains. A Hassan reference. I wouldn't get it. Larry posted an interesting clip. A lot of people were talking about the president's announcement from the White House after the event with Charlie, and how they were talking about it being AI, right? Like, it looks like AI. It looks like AI. And it kind of does, right? It could be upscaling. We don't know. But it could. There's some AI shenanigans probably in there. It's just Hassan was trying to talk about the politics of it all, and his chat wanted to talk about the fact that it was AI. And it's a hole he's dug himself, right? When you you set the environment, right? Like, I, as the streamer, set the environment for what we're going to talk about and what we're not going to talk about and all that kind of stuff. And, I tend to be very, here are all the things, here are the exact, we're going to talk about the exact same stuff. Here's these studies and this report and these videos, and I want you to make your own conclusions, and we can talk about it. Other streamers tend to tell their chats how to feel about stuff. And when you do that, you can end up in a situation where if you don't talk about the thing the way that you always have, then you can end up, with it biting you in the ass. Yeah, no, he wanted to talk about the politics, and fair enough, right? Like, there's important politics going on. But they would not let it go. They would not let it go.
When you really think about it, everything lies on top of OpenAI. They're the largest compute client in the world. They're $10 billion of Microsoft's Azure cloud revenue. They represent pretty much all paying users of generative AI, 20 million paying customers, 5 million business customers. Though I add, 500,000 of those are from Cal State University, 50 million annual contracts, so about $2.50 a user, losing a bunch of money, just like OpenAI tends to. In any case, OpenAI does not have the money to pay this contract. They're meant to start paying Oracle about $30 billion in 2027. These servers are not even in the data centers. There's only.
And if it doesn't look like they're going to generate that much money, you know what they're going to do? They're going to collapse, and everything's going to be on fire, and everything's going to go down. And it's going to take, oh no, wait. They'll renegotiate the contract.
Only an eighth of them built. So Oracle neither has the capacity ready to serve the revenue, and OpenAI does.
What is this? I don't even know what I would have done at this point. This is this is Ed Ztron. Part of Ed Ztron's grift is he does the classic, this is the story nobody wants to talk about, right? This is the truth, brother. The government aliens are controlled by the mind control in HARP, and it's that same grift. It's the same grift. He's grifting. I know that there are people on YouTube in my comments who are like, Ed Ztron is not a grifter, and I'm telling you he is. Yeah, no, like, everyone does the bits better than I do in that regard, right? The only thing that I do is occasionally throw in my totally from someplace in the former British Empire accent.
Doesn't have the money. And the thing that no one seems to want to say is, where the hell are they getting it from? So,
right.
And the answer is, there is literally not enough venture capital to fund this. Venture capital will run out. All of it, like dry powder of available venture capital, will run out in 6 quarters. at this current rate. And OpenAI, to do anything close to what they need to do, will need more than is currently available. Even if they move into private credit, it will not be sufficient. So the answer is
source? Anything? Can you demonstrate that? Because Ed's got this habit of making these intense claims like that and then not presenting you with any ability to independently verify it. Because
there's a good chance that OpenAI just does not convert to a for-profit entity. And if they don't by the end of the year, their current funding round from SoftBank gets cut in half. If they can't convert at all, they will die because they cannot go public. And at that point, if OpenAI cannot go public, they turn into a functional Ponzi scheme where the only way for
a Ponzi scheme. I've never heard it pronounced that way before.
any investor to cash out, it's for other investors to enter the system. And this is not an accusation of fraud or anything. That's just how it will work if they can't convert, because they are this weird non-profit hybrid. So yeah, I think sometime in the next year or two, OpenAI simply falls over and dies and gets pecked to death by carrion birds. And once that happens, everything else falls apart because OpenAI...
And then what will happen to OpenAI? That sounds good, OpenSep.
Presents
like those tiny cricket trees, yes.
Pretty much all of the revenue. They make more than everyone else combined. There's probably $40 billion of active revenue in generative AI, which is nothing. And OpenAI represents, I think, like a third.
$40 billion is nothing. Good to know. Ed, can I borrow $40 billion, please?
Half of that, they represent all of the compute. They're most of Microsoft's compute. They're going to be most of Oracle's revenue, if any of that was true. OpenAI disappears. There's not that much business here. It's a fugazi. It's all made up. It's genuinely disgusting.
Yes, and that is, but all of this fugazi kind of runaround stuff is just there to create more investment. I mean, that's what's been agonizing about this whole discussion is that so much of the AI discussion, even the guys going on podcasts to talk about how it's going to take over the world and be like robots. That's how great our product is. It could take over.
Again, the entire idea that it's just a tiny crooked lemon, tiny crooked lemon. That sounds like a song. Tiny fluffy clouds. If America, because this is my question, for all these people, like Emma just did, and this is, I'm not impugning Emma, so everybody calm down, put your knives away. If the American AI Ponzi scheme, is that, then what are these other countries doing? Right? Because AI appears to be a fucking thing that's actually fucking happening. Other people are doing stuff. China, Singapore. Singapore might be like about to take off if their latest paper comes to any kind of fruition. You know, like, you've got organizations around the world in every different kind of country you could think of who are investing in AI. So what are they doing? How is this Ponzi scheme, this alleged Ponzi scheme, so pervasive that it can actually make these other countries? I don't even know. Like, are they in on it? Are they also looking for investment from the venture capitalists? I don't even understand enough about, like, it's some fucking, it's some flat earth shit. Like, I don't even know how you get from here to there. Move.
The thing that no one seems to want to say is, where the hell are they getting it from? So,
right.
And the answer is there is literally not enough venture capital to fund this. Venture capital will run out. All of it, the dry powder of available venture capital will run out in 6 quarters at this current rate. And OpenAI, to do anything close to what they need to do, will need more than is currently available. Even if they move into private credit, it will not be sufficient. So the answer is
source? Anything? Can you demonstrate that? Because Ed's got this habit of making these intense claims like that and then not presenting you with any ability to independently verify it. Because see, now Ed is a content generation machine. This is what I wanted out of little Anthony Fantano.
The world, anyone want to invest? It's all been so much, billions and billions of money that's gone into this, and basically...
Sorry. Again, I'm not impugning Emma, but billions and billions of money.
wasted.
Yes.
Because it could disappear, as you say, overnight, because they cannot create right now a model that is profitable.
Well, it's not just the lack of profitability. It's not just the fact that these companies in general don't make much money. I mean, Perplexity, AI startup, search engine type company that has raised $300 million in the last 2 months, 2 separate rounds. They spent over 140% of their revenue last year just on compute. These companies do not function in the way that regular startups do. And
that is true.
On an operational level, the whole point of cloud software, the whole reason that tech has its valuations is that these are asset-light businesses where the biggest costs are salespeople and customer service. Generally, infrastructure has not been a problem. It is insane, but tech has now taken on the burden of classical industrialization without any path out. And what's crazy is I did an article called Why Everybody...
And just from a historical perspective, classical industrialization never had a path out, right? What Ed does here is a certain kind of historical revisionism where he applies it, like, and again, I'm not fucking simping for like Carnegie and the rest of these assholes, but they just built stuff and then tried to crush their workers and opponents and make a bunch of money. But they didn't have a path. They didn't function like a startup does, right? Like, and we talked about the fucking railroads. The railroads weren't particularly profitable until the East Coast hit the West Coast. You know what I mean? That's when it became profitable. But, you know, and again, I admit there was probably some profitability between, like, take care, OpenSet, I appreciate you. There was probably some profitability between, like, Chicago and New York, right? Probably made some money there, but what they were really trying to do was get to that West Coast shipping trade and then ship that back and forth across the country so that people in New York could experience imports from, you know, Asia and stuff like that, which normally would have taken, you would have had to like go, you know, whatever the fuck, all the way around the horn. So yeah. I don't know if the issue is that Ed doesn't know history or he just doesn't give a shit and just makes stuff up, his little stories.
He's losing money on AI last week. It's not clear that even the people providing compute, as in the people building the data centers with the GPUs in them, are making any profit. And if they are, it's going to take years. But on top of all of this crap don't work. It doesn't do that much. It's not that useful.
Beg to differ. Source, right? I used it to debunk your fucking shit about NVIDIA being a problem because they get 50% of their revenue from 3 customers, right? Like, it's better than you are, Ed. Maybe that's why he doesn't like it.
These people going on podcasts and saying, oh, it's going to do this. Oh, China, not to insult the previous guest, but China's building powerful AI. Are they? Are we talking about generative AI? Because when it comes to large language models, so the underlying tech behind like ChatGPT and Claude and all that, that's not.
Yeah, like DeepSeek. Does Ed not understand that DeepSeek exists?
Not powerful. It's not doing much. And indeed, a ton of other AI stuff that isn't making that much money, but is far more interesting, is unrelated to this. But they want to conflate it because the actual products that are underneath, well, that are built on top of large language models are kind of.
What up, one of 6 possible people? Is this one of the AI grifter channels? If it is, I'm very bad at it. I'm very bad at it. I hope you're doing well, one of 6 possible people.
Crap. They're good for Casey Newton of Platformer. His best he's got was to say, "Oh yeah, we should take this seriously. AGI is coming because it turns out that ChatGPT can do most kinds of homework."
Oh yeah, no, like Jaeger. So I came up with this theory. No, don't worry about them. They are. I know who that is. Old Lobster. Don't worry. They are a friend of the channel. If you're not aware. If I'm trying to be charitable, I think he's trying to say that the infrastructure costs make any useful stuff AI can do less efficient than having people do it. And maybe it's difficult to say what he's saying because he doesn't back it up with any kind of evidence. I'm going to save the clips for later, but please continue to make them. I do upload them all. They all get uploaded. You should follow me on YouTube and on TikTok where the clips go and help boost me in the algorithm. You know, no 3 of the 6. Yes.
That's not why we send children to school. We don't send people to university to do homework so that the homework's complete. It's not like there's a goblin we feed the homework to. We do it so that people learn. It's just,
Right.
it's.
There actually is a goblin that we feed the homework to. It's capitalism. Because the reason that some people, not all people, but the reason that some people are at college is to get a degree so that they can get a job, because the job requires a bachelor's degree in something. They don't even give a shit half the time. The job requirements include a bachelor's degree. It could be a bachelor's degree in whatever the fuck. It could be a bachelor's degree in grifting. Oh, that was the point I was trying to make. No, I lost it again. I don't know. I've got some Ed Ztron coming up after this, and he's going to demonstrate exactly what kind of grifter he is.
Fantastical, ridiculous, and ultimately dangerous.
And can we just even back?
No. Well, no. Go. Yeah. Go ahead. Well, I don't know, Pharaoh. You can feel free to continue to post them here. It does make me happy to see that people are clipping me, because there is a rather old clip. I should probably do this before I do that, just in case. I don't know that it matters. I don't know that it matters. But my most... Why can't I just push this and get my most viewed fucking clip? You suck at this. "67 views is my most popular clip, and it goes a little something like this. It does not go something like that because for whatever reason, Twitch likes to start off your clips muted. And then this happens. From the
Y'all
top.
don't clip me enough.
Wow, you're loud, bro.
Y'all don't clip me enough. I provide you with content. I do the thing. I look pretty, and y'all don't clip me enough. What is up with that?
Remember this? Remember when I used to stream in front of a green screen wall where I painted the wall green screen and I had all this crazy bullshit going on? Good times, good times.
Back up to how we got to this point here, because so much of what you're talking about, the
about 2.5 years, Larry. No, yeah, somewhere around there. About 2.5 years prior to moving up here, because my wife was she wasn't because I was streaming like downstairs in another room, and she was I was too far away. And now I stream up here.
the way that the model is completely not profitable was a lot of how tech and some of these like gig economy companies were spoken about. And I know it's different, and I want you to explain how that's different, because I
Please,
know, like, is
explain
Uber
anything.
even making money? Like, I feel like they're still, I'm not sure, maybe it was like last year or 2 years they started making money, but like a lot of these tech companies started operating at a loss. And some have gotten over the hump, especially because you know they're now
Like
some of
Amazon.
the most highly traded companies on the stock market and things like that. But this, you lay out how it's different in your piece, if you don't mind explaining to our audience.
So it's very simple. So Uber, Amazon Web Services is a comparison point that people make. They shouldn't. Over the course of 10 years, Amazon Web Services cost about 10% of the global investment from AI in the last 2. So Amazon Web Services is nothing.
Oh, so it's because number bigger that it's not the same. That's it. 10 years of Amazon Web Service investment. And we're not even just talking about Amazon Web Service investment, because that's not what I'm talking about when I talk about Amazon. I'm talking about the company itself was not profitable for an extended period of time and then became profitable after a tremendous amount of investment in shenanigans and whatever the fuck else. But it is profitable.
To do with it. It was also cash flow positive within a couple years. Uber, I think they burned about $30 billion between 2019 and 2022. Now, most of that was between R&D and sales and marketing. They just burned a bunch of money to get people out, and then were taking a loss on drivers too. They cranked up the prices, horrible labor abusers. But the classic mistake here, and this is actually, I'm not saying you're doing this, but a lot of people posing that Uber was just like this are doing so in bad faith. Because the thing that nobody wants to admit is that Microsoft...
The thing that nobody wants to admit, right? This is classic grifter language, right? Nobody wants to admit this. I am the truth teller. My king, how are you, my friend? I hope you are well. And Scribbles as well. Hi, Scribbles, if you happen to be there. He is the truth teller. He is the arbiter of truth. He is the one. Again, I have strong opinions on AI. Some of y'all disagree with me, and that's cool. That's fine. Scribbles fucked off the English. Oh, that's horrid. My wife is currently at a convention, and like a total of like 5 days. And yeah, every day she's gone, it sucks ass, right? Like, I have her pillow that I use, you know, And she changed the pillowcase before she left, right? She changed all the bedding before she left. It's like you missed the fucking point. Leave the bedding alone so it maintains your scent. We do not clip you enough. I do love some recursion, so I'm probably gonna love that one. All right, dipshit, go ahead. Say your spiel.
Amazon and Google paid for OpenAI and Anthropic's infrastructure. So people can say, oh, OpenAI has raised 60 billion or what have you. Anthropic's done the same.
I can't keep up with today's high-speed, top-of-the-line kids.
Jaeger, thank you for gifting one to my king.
Oh, and they look, Uber burned a lot of money too. No, the actual total amount, when you really look at how much Amazon.
Right, and so the actual total amount that was burnt in order to extend the railroads from New York to California were minuscule because the actual amount happened at a different time when money was different, right? So no path to.
And Amazon and Google handle Anthropic, Microsoft handles OpenAI. They've put between them hundreds of billions of dollars of infrastructure just for these companies. So it's not anything like Uber. The timeline is smaller. And on top of it, Uber's costs were not running the cars. This would be if like Uber's.
Exactly, Larry. Like and this is the thing, like I am aware of all the tricks that I could use in order to like sell you on AI and all that other stuff. It's manipulation, right? I wasn't always a good person. I had to become a good person over time by hating the person that I was and wanting to be better. I come from a world in which people manipulated me and I manipulated them. And like, and this is why when people try to manipulate me now, it's like, you are so fucking obvious. Like, do you realize how open this manipulation is? Can you in any way tell? And that's all he has, right? Oh, I remember what it was, the thing that popped into my head. And it happened when I was listening to the thing we're going to listen to a piece of next after this video's over. One of the places that AI threatens as a profitable business, public relations. What does Ztron do?
Cars were run using giraffe blood.
Right.
And you had to blow them up at the end of every ride and build a new car by hand.
I wish I rolled with sound bites the way that Redolin Thought does, because that was amazing.
And I sound like I'm being facetious, but the economics of this are completely and utterly insane. And they are getting worse because people have been saying, oh, the cost of inference is coming down. It's actually going up. There's a story by Christopher Mims about this in the Wall Street Journal. It's everywhere now. So this crap is getting more expensive to do the same things. It's still doing the same crap. And what they like to do is say, well, look, it's going up on the benchmarks. The benchmarks are made to make the models look better because you can't test these things on actual things that people do because they cannot do them.
Well,
so I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Ribbons. I'm sorry to Pharaoh. I'm sorry to Cosmic. I'm sorry to all of you who use AI to do things that people do, because apparently the AI cannot do things that people do. I guess. This is the thing, is he makes statements that are so obviously false, right? Within your personal experience. It's bizarre. And yeah, if you don't use AI, why wouldn't you listen to Ztron? He sounds so believable.
We have some data showing that at least these like larger firms here are starting to agree with you, because there are all these promises of how AI can help basically replace a workforce. But this is an article in Fortune magazine. AI adoption rates are declining and kind of have been for these larger firms who are beginning to realize this since.
Three of the lines go down. Four of the lines go up. I mean, all the lines go up until like January-ish. My question is, and we would have to look at the article, right? I'm not making any conclusions. I'm asking a question. AI adoption rate. Does that mean that they're not using AI, or excuse me, they're not adopting new AI tools? Right? Because my adoption rate for a Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra went through the roof a couple months ago and is cratered since.
Basically the middle point of this year. Explain why that's happening, Ed.
Well, it's quite simple. It doesn't do enough. Like the enterprise will, and there was a paper that came out of MIT NANDA as well that said 95% of generative AI.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that video, Larry, and it just never happened. Because I'm interested in that as well. I know that the cost per token on some of these models is lower than it was before and is lower than other ones, but I'm not entirely sure where inference actually stands as a whole, right? Like it is a question to ask, and I'm open to the the accurate answers.
Integrations have 0% return on investment. Now, within that, there was this statement that's very valuable, which is that adoption is high in the enterprise, but disruption is low. These products cannot learn.
That is a true statement, and now he's going to lie about it. The reason why disruption is low, and what an analysis of the 95% of AI implementations have not produced an ROI, is that the implementations are created under existing frameworks with no like through plan, right? Like they're not being implemented well. That's the problem. That's actually the conclusion that's in the paper. And, by the way, the paper also indicates that the people who buy solutions are doing better with those solutions at producing an ROI than the people who attempt to implement their own. And the people who created the paper are selling an AI solution. You want to talk about a grift? That one I'll give you. But to stand on that paper,
because these generative AI has no brain. They do not think. They do not have human thinking. They are just probabilistic.
Human thinking. They do not have human thinking. And this is true.
Models.
And probabilistic models are quite effective. You know who else uses probabilistic models? This is going to kill you. There's another creature that demonstrates incredible intelligence and uses a probabilistic model for decision making. It's humans.
And as a result, they are limited in what they can do to pretty much the same things. They summarize, They can generate text, they can generate images, they can sometimes successfully generate a PowerPoint, but even then, you can't do it every time. And at some point, I imagine.
No, you literally can do it every time. And this is what blows my mind. Again, Ed is going to tell me things that are demonstrably untrue, which makes me question everything that Ed has to say.
Enterprises rolling out these big integrations, spending all this money, are going, okay, does this do anything we actually need? And at some point, why would they continue? You'll note that we're 3 years into this, and we still don't have any really tangible examples of anyone doing anything interesting or large-scale disruptive. I mean, within.
So again, no one has done anything interesting with AI. Cool. I love that for us.
In a few years of the iPhone, we had tens of millions of smartphones. You had entire organizations adopting smartphones across the board. You had bring your own device companies growing literally just to provision iPhones and similar devices for corporate clients. You had growth within the enterprise that you could map out year by year. We have a line trending down. That's not good. And that people really would love to say, oh, well, the dot-com boom, the line went down too. Nuh-uh. There was no line go down when it came to. That's not good. And that people really would love to say, oh, well, the dot-com boom, the line went down too. Nuh-uh. There was no line go down when it came to the growth of cloud compute. And Uber.
Do you see what he just did there? He was talking about the dot-com bubble, said the line didn't go down in the dot-com bubble, and it sounded like he was saying that, but then pivoted to cloud compute. This is your man. This is your king. This is your boy. This is the totally not grifting Ed Ztron. Holy shit. I can't believe anyone thinks this person knows what the fuck they're talking about.
Completely different consumer company, not relevant. But nevertheless, their burn was still significantly lower over time, and they were also a necessary product. I think they're horrifying labor abusers, but still, the product made sense. But in generative AI, the returns are not there on a financial level, but the actual product still does functionally the same thing it did 2 years ago. Since GPT-4, there really hasn't been a significant thing that's changed. Even reasoning models, it's just kind of putting a hat on a hat at this point.
Why? Why? How are reasoning models just putting a hat on a hat at this point? I'm curious. Like just anything. Like demonstrate, show your work. I assume you went to school, and I assume you had a teacher, and that teacher asked you to show your work. Yeah, we're gonna get to that, Larry, hopefully. Oddly enough, Ztron means lemon. There's a lot of lemon discourse happening today. Oh, is he in fact a crooked little lemon tree? It's doing a Ponzi scheme. Oh. Don't break your computer. I'd feel bad.
You speak a little bit about in one of your pieces on your site, NVIDIA, and how this bubble could burst if their growth begins to slow. You point out there's this thing called like the Magnificent Seven.
Why would they slow? What would cause them to slow? Because apparently they just keep. I guess if nobody's buying the compute, that it would slow. It's a terrible thing that there aren't, I don't know, other people outside of the United States who might continue to buy NVIDIA products. So if you're hinging, like there's a whole thing where like they want to sell to China. Like, it would be a shame if the thing that you hinged your entire fucking thesis around never happens because they're like, what is it? 0.03% of the world's population decided that they couldn't buy GPUs anymore, so the remaining fuck all of everyone. And there's a lot of people in the world. There's a lot of countries in the world. Singapore would eat the fucking shit. Was this person a popular podcaster or whatever you call him before AI? Okay. So Ed Ztron reported on the tech industry, and his official job is Singapore would eat the fucking shit out of the GPUs, right? For breakfast. If you get that reference. Ed Zitron's a PR guy.
What exactly is a tech millionaire?
It's a lot like a regular millionaire, but with a hoodie and crippling social anxiety.
That wasn't helpful at all.
Just like a tech millionaire.
What up, X1011? PR guy, and at some point he started talking about the tech industry, right? Which is a great, a great avenue to take. Talking about tech is something that, people are interested in because we got a lot of fancy shit in the United States. So that it was his claim to fame. And then he transitioned into the, anti-AI, AI skeptic, whatever you want to call them, crowd. Because those folks, I'm sorry, a lot of anti-AI folks just want to hate on AI and don't care about the facts.
Basically these big 7 companies.
Not all of them, because we've got some AI skeptic, anti-AI people in the community, and those are not the people that I'm talking about. They care about the facts. They want to understand what's actually happening, and they want to be able to discuss this intelligently.
Companies that make up so much of the U.S. stock market's value, and you posit that NVIDIA is the weakest of these 7 at this point. Can you explain why that's the case and what these weaknesses are?
So the funny thing is that NVIDIA is the only company I think that's making any real profit from this. They are,
I think,
doing so well to the point that the market has a fundamentally unhealthy relationship with them. Yep. NVIDIA's revenue, 88% of it comes from data.
I also have that I thought would be helpful from understanding the stock market. What does all this mean? This video from How Money Works, which my relationship with How Money Works, and I find him annoying, but this little bit that I watched of the video I thought was good enough that I should bring it to you. So hopefully we'll get to that later. I think we will. Because again, I don't have to work tomorrow and I'm in the mood to stream.
Data center revenue, which is selling these GPUs and the associated bits with them. Of that revenue, around 42% of it comes from 6 other companies. Really, mostly 4. Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Meta. In all 4 of those cases, they're making bugger all revenue. But in this case, the market has come to expect NVIDIA to grow anything from 70 to 150% every single year, year over year, every quarter. They must grow that much. And then you look at it right now, and they slowed to a ridiculously high, but not high enough, 55%, I think it was, year over year. It's unsustainable. There is no way that NVIDIA...
So in that other video that I was talking about, the one that led me to assemble that that AI deep research report on the customers of NVIDIA. He said that AI, well, that's an entirely other question, Silverlight, of which I agree. I agree that the entire thing is a bubble. The entire thing is fairy dust and shenanigans. He was talking about how NVIDIA didn't hit their what the market expected them to hit, what their number was, right? And he actually gave the numbers, and it was something along the lines, it is not a quote, but it was something along the lines of they were supposed to go up by 55.1%. The expectation was 55.1%, and they only went up 55%, right? Which is hilarious to me, right? Like that a minor, like a minor blip. It like, oh, they were off by this, but he hinged his entire argument on that was indicating that something was failing. And I don't know, is there anything else that happened in the past year, 6 months, 9 months at this point? Anything happened in the past 8-9 months that might have had an effect on markets at all and that kind of shit?
Here is just going to be able to go, okay, we'll sell 70 billion, then 100 billion, then 150 billion dollars worth of GPUs. And if you're worried, you should be more worried, because that's actually what needs to happen to keep this rally going, because nobody's making any real money.
Not that I'm aware of, Larry. What up, Raza?
Hey.
Yeah, and I think just for people that don't know, can you explain NVIDIA's place in the market and why they have it cornered? Just even like, spelling it out very simply, just because like what GPUs are and what their product is.
Oh yeah. Like there are. I don't. There, like one thing was the scale of the chips going like down, and there was one guy who said that we have solved the problem of the 1.4 angstrom, chip size, right? Like we can get smaller, or transistor size. We can get smaller, but even then, even if we couldn't, there are other architectures that we could spend time with. There's also the ability, I don't know, of linking computers together in some fashion. Like there are so many ways that we could expand if the technology never improved. You're right, Jaeger. We have just scratched the surface of the capabilities of the old stuff. Let alone the AI, but the old stuff.
And even if you don't mind explaining, like Taiwan's role in also all of this.
So Taiwan's role will be with TSMC, which is basically the chip manufacturer. They do everything. TSMC does way more than GPUs.
About 85 to 92%. Of all chip manufacturing in the world.
They do more than this. NVIDIA makes a GPU, a graphics processing unit, but the ones that they sell a lot of are these AI GPUs, and they're not kind of like the ones you put in a computer. They're much bigger. I think you put 72 of them in a rack. You need these massive cooling rigs and servers to make them run, and they run something called CUDA, C-U-D-A. Now, this language is exclusive to NVIDIA GPUs and is...
I agree, Raza. That's why we talked earlier about, IP, right? And copyright, and how that has done significant damage to the innovation, for lack of a better word, that human beings would be capable of. Was that not the case?
It's functionally the only way to run generative AI. There are other examples, but no one else can scale like NVIDIA, and indeed, no one.
It's not clear whether anyone else can scale. No one has scaled, right? Again, your computer on your desktop computer, for those of you who have a desktop computer, is architecturally very similar to mine, right? At one point in time, computers were all like 90 degrees from the way that they look now. But we decided to do the tower. And then in that leads to certain architectural requirements. You can only do so much. You can only work in so many different directions and so many different sizes and things like that. What would happen if, someone was able to produce a different kind of computer architecture structure? Like Old Lobster. Old Lobster has a very interesting way of their computer being assembled, and it's like an open air kind of free range kind of jib jab. What up, Dojo? China's making a lot of progress on scaling AI compute. Wonder why we are putting so much time and effort into doing that. Because of the grift, because of the AI scam and the Ponzi scheme. There are only a handful of companies that had true exponential growth where research cost wasn't even considered. Bell Labs, IBM, NVIDIA. Compatibility was a big issue for a sec. More unified, or more uniform now. Competition created weird issues. Yeah, and that's the thing, is like there are things that might work better that we don't do because of the choices that we.
Hey, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me maybe.
I'm not entirely sure what that name means. That is a name. They might be a perfectly lovely person. Oh, I got it. You need to get banned. Sorry, it took me a minute, folks. It took me a minute. Reed, can you take care of that for me? Yes. Yeah, it took the last part was throwing me. That was a choice you made. There you go. Boop. I got it, Reed. You joined 56 minutes ago. We're still limited with backward compatibility with the 8088 instruction. What an unfortunate name. They will leave it behind at some point. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing, Pharaoh. Wild. I'm just popular.
Can really run CUDA. So you either have to make a large language model specifically for an.
Hey, I got to ban them first. So now when other people who use PasadaBot, they'll get to see my name, right? I know it has nothing to do with it, but every time I see, I'm so internet pilled that every time I see the number 88, I'm like, I need to ban that number, right? I need to change everything so that number stops existing in front of me.
Another language and another GPU, which is incredibly hard to do. China's trying to do this right now. Or you can just buy from NVIDIA, which is what everyone's doing. The problem is these GPUs are insanely expensive. We're talking 50,000 to 70,000 a piece, and you need to buy 72 of them each rack, and you need to buy a lot of racks. And so you're in this situation where there's this massive expenditure, this insane amount of money you're spending.
Yeah, shit costs money under capitalism, my dude. Nice choice, Larry. Way to hold on.
And then you install them and they immediately start losing you money. And based on SemiAnalysis's analysis, they cost about $2 an hour to run, which may not seem too bad when you're making, I don't know, $3 an hour, but that's if you're at 80% or higher utilization, as in it's being used.
Well, I hope for the best, Becca. I hope it works out. May the odds be ever in your favor.
For 80% of the time. Most of them are not, because the demand is not there for generative AI services. And where it is available, well, it's with Microsoft and OpenAI, and all of that business has been taken. So I believe that most people that are actually installing these GPUs at scale are losing tons of money. And their customers, when they get these generative...
I mean, losing is one way you could put it. An investment, right? An investment, again, it costs a whole lot of money to run a railroad through a mountain.
AI services are going, why do I care? And I believe most of OpenAI's actual existence within the market is not legitimate. It's based on a 3-year...
Again, doesn't that sound like the aliens shit, right? Like, I don't believe, that fucking jet fuel can melt steel beams.
Long marketing campaign by a tech and business media that's lost the plot, and a society and markets that needed a new growth pig. They needed a new thing to point at and say, this is the future.
And big tech was behind it too, right? They're deeply invested. And another thing that you write in your piece about what could happen if the bubble bursts is these big tech companies abandoning.
What do you mean, what could happen? I thought the bubble was bursting.
Some of this AI stuff. Can you speak a little bit about
exactly,
that and
Larry,
why that could be on the horizon?
So all of these companies, these big tech companies, have been Microsoft's spending $80 billion of capital expenditures this year, Amazon $105 billion of...
I'm not saying it, X1011.
Capital expenditures. The market quite liked this when the market had the brains of babies and went, ooh, AI's everywhere. I've heard AI mentioned a few times. I like that number.
True, Dojo.
Here's the thing. Now that the market is saying, wait, is there any actual return on this investment? They're starting to say, well...
Is the market saying that? Is that what the market's saying? Is that actually what they're saying? Or is that what you're saying? Investors are fickle, and no one wants to be left holding the bag. But is that what the market's saying? Is it actually?
Is your revenue going to keep growing? Because this whole time, and this is where the business media really screwed up, every time these companies saw revenue growth.
I mean, since Reagan, Becca, it's like he doesn't realize just how concentrated the capital's got and how all this stuff's connected. It's not, what up, Chef? He strikes me as a fairly intelligent person. So, again, the credit that I give him that he is intelligent makes me believe, right? And I don't have evidence other than Ed Ztron himself, that he knows exactly what he's doing. And again, he's grifting off the the AI skeptic and the fears and anger of other people. In order to, like, he's not making a shit ton of cash. He's not Joe Rogan on this. But it's only been a couple of years, right? As he is wont to point out. And now he's on the Majority Report. And now he's on CNN, right? And so getting his name out there could lead to future returns.
The media would say, and that proves that AI is working. Now, what's missing from all of these earnings is any actual explanation of how much money they're making from AI, because they're not making any. Well, that's not true. Microsoft's making $13 billion, and they stopped reporting their AI revenue in January for some reason. Projected to make $13 billion this year. $10 billion of that is from OpenAI's compute, which is sold at cost on an already money-losing thing. Meta are expecting to make $3 billion. An analyst predicts that Amazon will make $5 billion from AI. This is not a lot of money for companies that make over $100 billion a year. Microsoft Azure made, I think, 70.
Which I think would indicate something to you, right? Like, the reason why these companies can do the things that they're doing is they have other sources of revenue. That is the conclusion that I have. Is VR dying? I don't know. I know that the reason Zuckerberg's vision of AI failed was because he wanted people to do things with it that people don't want to do with it, right? People want to play games with VR and watch porn. So
something billion in the last year and all that. This is chump change. And as you have shown, adoption is going down. The only reason we're seeing this spike right now is honestly, it's not quite Enron, but it smells a little bit about it. The Oracle.
It's Enron. Economically, I don't know. I guess part of that, like if we see a PlayStation VR 3, I don't know. Is there a graph? Like Oculus, right? Graph of Oculus sales. I like graphs. I mean this is this is definitely a graph. There's nothing on the bottom, so we don't know what the graph is actually measuring, but it's the one number does go higher than the other one. Is Oculus software sales up to 2020, right? So 2019, Oculus Rift and Quest kind of took off. Ah, perfect. Thank you, Statista. Is it Statista or Statista? I need an account? I just want to look at it. Okay, this is games. That doesn't help. Meta headset outperforms all brands in 20. Oh, this is cool. Virtual reality headset market share and growth report 2030. So this is from the future. Show me news from the future. They're anticipated to reach 60 billion by 2030, growing at a CAGR of 30% from 2023 to 2030. So it sounds like VR is still alive and VR is going up. Exactly what? Difficult to say. What is this? What is this, Ed? You have pictures of a family on your wall. Oh, okay. That's probably his thermostat. Never mind.
Saying, yeah, we got $300 billion of revenue coming May. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, it's from one company that loses billions of dollars a year, that doesn't have any money right now and needs to convert to a for-profit. But yes, everyone go nuts. It's going to be great. I just hate it because in the end, retail investors, so regular people that are investing with this, who have been lied to, who believe people in the media, who believe senior officials that say AI is so powerful, that don't do their own research, that are not actually being given the full story, are going to invest heavily in NVIDIA, heavily in Oracle, and get their asses kicked when this falls apart.
I mean, Raza, I wish that Palmer Luckey had engaged with his Sword Online VR helmet, right? Put your money where your mouth is. That would have been neat.
And NVIDIA, like, I just in terms of its lack of sustainability, I mean, there are going to be new technologies and new different like GPUs that might be more efficient. Like,
Maybe,
I mean,
but the thing,
yeah.
even
Emma, even Emma has reached her level of putting up with this guy's vagaries and bullshit.
Whether there is or there isn't, NVIDIA will survive this. None of these big tech companies are dying, which is why, by the way, there will be no government bailout. There's nothing to bail out. None of these companies are going to die. Oracle, however, is actually in systemic problems because they are taking on $38 billion of debt, I think, just to complete one part of the compute to serve OpenAI, a company that doesn't have the money. NVIDIA generally, because of that coding language CUDA, and it's a coding language and series of libraries and such to run compute on GPUs. They started working on that over a decade ago. Everyone has been trying to work that out and crack that nut. I don't think anyone's going to do it, but I don't think it really matters because ultimately this boom has come from building capacity for a revolution that never even started arriving. And I think everyone, the sources of information that people rely on, everyone's been let down.
Well, if people read your
Presented without evidence, as per spec.
Newsletter on Ghost, where's your ed at, you'll not be kept in the dark. So I really appreciate your work on this, Ed.
Oh, no, you'll be kept in the dark. Because Ed is not illuminating. All right, we're not going to do the whole thing. I just want to give you a sample of exactly what a grifter Ed is, right?
These people exist.
These people exist. We're going to start over at the beginning.
Welcome to Bet.
And if you're watching this on YouTube after I upload it, Ed Ztron is very protective of his copyright. So those parts of this will be edited out by YouTube. I will read off the current timestamp at the beginning of every pause, just so that you can follow along on a YouTube video if you really want to. That's all I can do. Thanks, Ed. You coward. There's two ways to deal with that. Reject the tool, change your workflow. If the companies are resistant to changing existing workflows, that could indicate a reason for 95% lack of return on investment in the study, assuming the study is correct. So even under their own condition,
I really do love that. I love that so much.
You would, because you're a dipshit who uses it for your own purposes. 440.
It's like, the thing holding AI back is that it sucks.
That's not what they said at all, 443, Ed. It's not what they said at all. But that's what you say, and your subscribers, your followers, your minions, your whatever, they'll regurgitate it.
These are.
And then he just throws random numbers at people. Not random. They're relevant to the study, but you get it.
Brutal, dispassionate points that
That was 457.
directly deal with the most common boosterisms. Generative AI isn't transforming anything. AI isn't replacing anyone. Enterprises are trying to adopt generative AI, but it doesn't fucking work. And the thing holding back AI is the fact it doesn't fucking work.
511. Ed Ztron again says, with no evidence, that AI doesn't fucking work. Generative AI doesn't fucking work. And again, I know people who are using generative AI, so my stuff is anecdotal, I guess. But unless somehow, through the magic of some shit, the power of Rocco's Basilisk, I happen to interact with the very few people who are capable of doing anything with these AI tools, it would indicate that there's probably a lot of people who are doing stuff with the AI.
This isn't a case where the enterprise is suddenly going to save these companies, because the enterprise has already...
6 IBM computer.
By the way.
650. Strawmen. Strawmen as far as the eye can see. Right? Do I call any of you stupid who disagree with, the AI things? I haven't even called Ed stupid. He's a grifter. Never called him stupid once. Actually referred to his intelligence earlier as indicative of his capabilities. No, he's a PR guy, Raza. That's the thing.
Cowboys have a tighter grasp on reality, but not my...
816. That's a bold claim. As anyone who enjoys sports ball knows, Dallas Cowboy fans are wildly detached from reality. Go Bills.
Capacity.
Because Kevin used to really not be a fan of AI. Remember that Kevin is the one who went on TV and talked about how he used the AI chatbot so long that it told him that it loved him and it freaked him out. And then over time, he changed his opinion based on new evidence. Or whatever Ed thinks is happening with Kevin.
As I'll get to later in this.
Wall Street, it's been particularly pronounced. As I've shared, I think at least when it comes to the market dimension of this, a lot of it has to do with AI taking on the generalized anxiety of the larger stock market. But boy, yesterday on Wall Street, AI skepticism was forcibly removed after Oracle put in one of the most remarkable trading days in recent memory. Now, we talked already about Oracle's big announcement. On yesterday's show,
Did you want the link? Andy, you can just ask me for the link. I'll give it to you.
Covered how they had reported a backlog of $455 billion in contracts over the next 5 years. The stock was up 27% overnight after the announcement and reached as much as 43% up, ultimately landing at 36% up to reach a new record high. Valued at around $600 billion at the beginning of the week, Oracle is now almost $1 trillion company. So what happened? This was not a story of Oracle wildly beating analyst estimates. In fact, it was a small...
I hate both these guys.
The reason it matters at all is that the title of the world's richest man has tended to follow the dominant tech category of the time. Elon Musk first took the title in 2021 when green tech and EVs were the big narrative. Before that, it was Jeff Bezos on the back of e-commerce. Prior to Bezos, Bill Gates was the wealth leader from software. Now the world's richest man is an AI infrastructure baron. Now, of course, there is still plenty of skepticism out there. Many of the reports have pointedly noted that OpenAI's current annual revenue was $10 billion in June. The company therefore has a long way to go before they can afford to cash flow $300 billion in infrastructure spending. Stock analyst Thomas Chua posted, "The entire growth narrative hinges on a cash-burning customer's ability to raise unprecedented amounts of capital. If OpenAI's funding dries up, Oracle could be left with massive stranded investments in AI infrastructure and a collapsed growth story." There are also plenty of people pointing out that AI revenue is looking a little circular, with OpenAI's revenue flowing into Oracle's balance sheet, which then flows into NVIDIA's balance sheet and back into GPU financing deals. Short seller.
Isn't that the way economies work? Right? The money go round. The money has to go round. That's because if the money just goes one place and just stops, then it doesn't. Yeah, and all money is circular, depending on how far you zoom out. But
Very cheap right now to write a research note about the AI bubble, but it is starting to get extremely expensive to be stuck on the sideline as AI names rip. The Kobayashi letter simply pointed out the gigantic green candle, writing, "As we continue to reiterate, we are still so early in the AI revolution." Take Him, the author of the NVIDIA Way, posted, "Ridiculous how outlets amplified and platformed that shoddily written MIT paper, conflated Altman's bubble deals." Usually,
the key, Jaeger, is you have two of them go in, fight to the death. The loser, half their wealth goes to the winner, and the other half is divided up among all the people who paid their $5 and bet on them to win. So much money.
when you have a moment of creative destruction, the destruction comes before.
In a sci-fi story or something.
The creative. It's why new technology often faces resistance. It's easier to see what it disrupts before we understand fully what it creates. In this case, because of infrastructure, we have the potential to see tens of thousands of new jobs materialize, entire categories of new skills that become extremely important and high leverage very early on in the technology's lifecycle because of the need for infrastructure. You don't hear much about that because there's still such an impulse towards skepticism and not wanting to count chickens before they're hatched. But at least when it comes to the market, it is very clear. Tests and fixing bugs as it goes. It can also build other agents and automations, and can be used to build workflows within other apps. The biggest improvement is a 200-minute maximum runtime. Y Combinator's Paul Graham wrote, "It seems a bit counterintuitive at first, but one of the most important tests of an AI is how long it can continue thinking about something productively. Replit is now up to 200 minutes. CEO Amjad Masad called this the full self-driving moment of software. Now, one of the big benchmarks for agent autonomy over the past year has been Meter's study of the time horizon for agentic tasks. The study measured agent performance against tasks that would take a human developer various lengths of time and graded them at not just a product, but a business that runs and improves itself. This is, I think, exactly what all of the discourse around how much better a base model is than the number that came before it misses. It misses the fact that the improvements are coming from these systems, which are being put together to accomplish ever bigger and more significant groups of work all at once. Now, the last thing that I want to point to as another indication that we are at the beginning of a narrative shift once again away from skepticism and towards excitement again, is that Thinking Machines Lab came out with its first shared research, and people are really excited. On Wednesday, the company put out a paper on the issue of non-determinism or randomness in AI outputs. Basically, the idea that you could prompt the same AI 2 separate times with the exact same prompt and the exact same model and come up with 2 very different answers. This has been treated as just sort of the cost of doing business with LLMs and something that couldn't necessarily be fixed.
The hallucination problem.
However, the team at Thinking Machines Lab, led by Horace He, who was recruited from Meta, argued that actually the problem here is something which they call batch invariance. The neuron actually had a really interesting layperson ELI5 kind of analogy. They said, imagine ordering the same coffee at Starbucks, but it tastes different depending on how many other customers are in line. That's essentially what's happening with AI models. When an AI server is busy handling lots of requests, it processes them in batches. Your request gets bundled with others because that's more efficient, and somehow this changes your specific answer even though it shouldn't. Follow the logic, and the busier the server, the more your results vary. Thinking Machines Labs, or Thinky for short, released their approach as open source code, which they're calling batch invariant kernels. Now, hold aside all the specifics here. This is a big, thorny technical research problem that a lot of people had just given up on. And so the fact that this lab dropped a solution in a way that anyone else can interact with it has, I think, jogged people into remembering that there's
open source is life.
There's actually still so much exciting science and research to be done that will fundamentally improve what we get out of AI. So summing this up, yesterday we got one of the biggest days in stock history because of a massive AI infrastructure deal and a halo effect that came over into other AI stocks as well. We got a brand new agent that totally pushed the frontiers of how much autonomy an agent could actually behave with, and we got some really exciting new science. That is why I am saying officially AI skepticism is canceled. RIP, hope you enjoyed your month in the spotlight. For now, that's good.
Okay, what I believe is going to be our last video of the evening is the one on the stock market. This economy sucks. Why is the stock market doing something? For those of you who don't really understand the stock market and what it means, I think this is going to be a good video. I hope you enjoy it. Almost like any problems AI has could be solved by almost anyone and get us past the limitation. Almost.
If you pay any attention to financial news, you've probably heard the same line every time the stock market has a little whoopsie-daisy.
$58 billion wiped off the exchange today.
$136 billion was wiped off.
$5 trillion in value had been wiped from the markets in just 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's right. Every time green line does not go up, we are told some company or the market has lost, destroyed, or wiped out however many billion.
Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Resistance is futile.
What up, Raiders? What up, Ivan? What up, Zio? What up, Femvox fan? I'm Globus the Elder. I talk about AI, automation, robots, and future tech. Ivan is one of the people that I respect to actually challenge the ideas in a good faith context. I enjoy our conversations, and I would like to do another one in the relatively near future. Have fun, Raza. Take care of yourself.
$58 billion wiped off the exchange today.
$136 billion was wiped off.
$5 trillion in value had been wiped from the markets in just 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's right. Every time green line does not go up, we are told some company or the market has lost, destroyed, or wiped out.
What am I looking at here?
I don't know, but it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good.
Bad.
Yeah, it's probably bad.
It's probably bad.
However many billions of dollars. But alright then, where does that money actually go? It might not surprise you to learn that headlines like this are written more for shock and awe than genuine insight. But the simple truth is that the money doesn't actually go anywhere, because it never existed in the first place. Sort of. If you can look beyond the flashy headlines like this and actually understand what they are trying to say, you are going to be much better equipped to make sensible financial decisions when everybody else is busy losing their minds and, if they are lucky enough, maybe even their retirement savings too. This basic understanding has probably actually never been more important than it is right now, because
remember that this dude is a huge fan of the stock market and has some views about like what people are capable of doing, right? most people are capable of not participating in the stock market in any real sense. I think you're right. I hope. Don't catch the elf. It goes badly.
Just 3 weeks.
Gold prices hit a record high on Tuesday.
The dream of owning the house with the white picket fence increasingly giving way to white picket renters.
You could buy a house tomorrow if the price was right, if the interest rates were where they needed to be.
Help for the economy from Washington remains nowhere in sight.
So there are really 3 different levels of technical explanation for what happens to money during a crash. The good enough for most people level, the armchair market analyst level, and then the level that considers debt, consumption, and all the different asset markets that are getting kind of weird at the moment. Now, most people don't even get level 1 right, but I promise none.
To paraphrase something that one of 6 possible people said earlier, that sounds like something that the Fae would say. But I welcome you in, and I hope you enjoy your time here.
None of this is as complicated as the financial bros would like you to think. And actually seeing how these markets work is the only way to understand how messed up they really are at the moment. But alright, most of the time when headlines are talking about billions of dollars being destroyed or whatever, what they are really saying is that the market capitalization of a company or group of companies has been repriced. This is just calculated using the number of outstanding shares multiplied by the price the last share was traded at. So for example, Nvidia currently has about 24 billion outstanding shares, and right now those shares are trading at a price of about $170, which gives the company a market cap of $4.1 trillion. If for some reason tomorrow people decided to start trading Nvidia shares at $85, then it would have the market cap of the company and you would inevitably see headlines about Nvidia losing $2 trillion. But they didn't really lose $2 trillion. They were just revalued using this very crude calculation. Now, technically, this could actually help Nvidia's ongoing business operations. Since the AI
Mr. Crazy is my number. Call me maybe. Thank you for the follow.
Same money, which should be a good thing, right? Well, this is assuming, of course, that they aren't just doing stock buybacks to drive up an already hyped up stock. Part of what is making the current stock market so strange at the moment is that by far the biggest net purchaser of shares in these companies are these companies. According to the Fed's Z1 financial accounts, households made net purchases of about $100 billion of stock in 2024. This was dwarfed by listed corporations that did over $625 billion worth of net buying, meaning that companies were buying 6 times more of their own stock than actual stockholders were. Now, that doesn't seem great, but it's actually worse than it sounds. The whole point of a stock market is that it's supposed to be a place where companies can go and sell their shares to raise money to fund business operations.
I can't believe he said that without laughing his ass off. What is this? The fucking 1930s?
It was a bunch of nothing. Gibberish. Flip-flopical, flip-topological, flip-snobicals. It was a bunch of gibberish, bro.
Oh, like when has the stock market last worked like that?
This net sales figure also includes the company subtracting from this net number by conducting IPOs.
Because it's easy to calculate.
As a rough indication of if things are going in the right direction or not. Now, a lot of people, when they learn this, take it to mean that market cap is irrelevant. A $10 banana is no better than a banana that's on clearance for $5. And while that's true, a sudden price drop on anything can be an indication that there is something rotting away beneath the surface. So for the
But your $10 or $5 bananas are not like that's not how much a banana should cost. Unless you're like into that whatever the market will bear kind of fucking thing.
next level of understanding, you need to do what the journalists writing the headlines aren't willing to do, and actually follow the money. Now,
that's inaccurate, right? People do this where they think that, or they make the claim that like the journalists aren't willing to follow the money or whatever. No, that's not the purpose of the story. The purpose of the story is for you to click the link, go to the website, read the article, and watch the ads.
I know I just said that if a stock halves in value, that doesn't necessarily mean that any money is.
What up, Maddie? If that were the case, bananas would cost even more because the banana harvest workers would be getting paid massive amounts of money or massive amounts of bananas.
Gone anywhere. But in highly liquid markets, such a scenario can only really happen one way. The NASDAQ doesn't get to slap a 50% off clearance label on Nvidia stock like Walmart does on questionable milk. The way the price moves in these kinds of markets is that if there are more sellers than buyers, the price falls, and if there are more buyers than sellers, the price rises. When people are panic selling stocks, they are still getting money in exchange for those stocks. It may not be as much as they wanted, but what they then do with that money is where things get interesting. Let's say you had some spare money. Yeah, I know, but just pretend.
Okay, as long as you know.
With me for a second. With your pile of cash, you have some options. You can invest into the stock market, real estate, bonds, gold, alternatives like cryptocurrency, or you could just hold on to your cash. Alternatively, if you just want to enjoy your life right now, you could spend that money on goods and services like a new car, a bigger house to live in, or a nice vacation. All of these activities.
What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get myself a 1967 Cadillac Eldorado convertible, hot pink with a whale skin hubcaps, and all leather cow interior, and big brown baby seal eyes for headlights. Yeah, and I'm gonna ride around in that baby at 115 miles per hour, getting 1 mile per gallon, sucking out porta potted cheeseburgers from McDonald's in the old-fashioned non-biodegradable styrofoam containers. And when I'm done sucking down those greaseball burgers, I'm gonna wipe my mouth with the American flag, and then I'm gonna toss the styrofoam containers right at the side. And there ain't a goddamn thing anybody can do about it. You know why? Because we got the bombs. That's why. 2 words: nuclear fucking weapons. Okay?
Unfortunately, nobody seems terribly interested in funding my research, but
I am. I will fund your research.
Yeah?
Yeah? That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Jaeger, who has personally caused 2 hype trains in this stream. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for gifted to the community. You are... I don't actually have anything to show you other than the thing, because no actual stream or hype train things have ever done anything. The only thing that seems to have ever done anything is when I get this weird accent, right? And I start talking like some vague, it could be English, it could be Australian, it could be New Zealander, and I do weird accent, and then all of a sudden, and then for some reason, then people decide to say it's accent trained, something along those lines. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but you like bugger it all. It's a thing that people like to do. And thank you for gifting one out to totally not that person. Jaeger, you're awesome.
That improve your quality of life are generally classified as consumption. Depending on where you and everybody else who has spare money puts their cash, it will increase the value of these markets.
Just the concept of spare money.
So if everybody buys gold, its price will increase as demand increases on an asset with limited supply.
Which is why gold-backed currency is a bad idea.
Now, stocks, bonds, and real estate are kind of unique because they generate their own cash flow to give money back to you. Stocks do this through dividends, bonds through interest, and real estate through rent. Those cash flows come from other people deciding to put their money into the consumption pile, which becomes revenue for these 3 asset classes. But all of these other assets really only make returns by having more people buy in at a progressively higher price. When the stock market crashes, what is really
that sounds like a Ponzi scheme.
Happening is everybody trying to grab their cash out of that particular asset market. They do this either because they think the market won't generate as much cash flow in the future, or more often, just to get their cash out before everybody else lowers their price by taking their cash out. Now, if you were lucky enough to get your cash back before everybody else, you have a choice. During a lot of market crashes, people just want to hold on to their cash because they are afraid they will lose their jobs and nothing else is generating cash flow. But eventually,
you're not a fan of MMT?
Eventually, you will need to put your money somewhere. And that predicament is what is creating such a big problem right now. Sure, maybe you think that the stock market might be an AI-fueled bubble, but if you sell your positions, where exactly should you put your money?
If that's a rhizome emote, I'm gonna shit. Okay. All right, it isn't. Because that motherfucker is an emote for everything. And had it been a rhizome emote, I would have not been surprised. I just would have shit.
Gold is at all-time highs. Real estate is risky with today's interest rates. Cryptocurrency is highly correlated with the stock market. Goods and services are more expensive than ever, and people are even starting to question the long-term safety of the bond market. People are quickly running out of safe platforms to stand on.
I don't know enough about MMT to actually, like, you know, like I'll say that I don't know enough to have an opinion on it. The little bit that I have heard about it is the idea that we always have money to pay for the things that we want to pay for and not money to pay for the stuff that we don't want to pay for. And that I know is true, right? Except none of this is based on reality because it's not actually people when 90% or whatever of all stock market activity is large institutions. It's all sort of framed wrong. Yeah, it's in the same way that, like, when people start talking about capitalism and they start talking about if Bob has an orchard in which they produce apples and Steve wants to buy the apples, then he can buy the apples. But what if Steve actually wants shoes? Then he has to exchange the apples for shoes. But what if they and it's like that. So I understand what you're saying, right? We're looking at this to more understand the basic concepts and understanding that the nuances of economics are more complex than all that. What up, Tinker? How many works did a video on how many works? And guess what? Money does not work. I doubt that how many works ever actually did that video.
Which has got a few people saying that maybe these markets aren't actually broken. Maybe it's the money that's broken. So it's time to learn how money works, to find out if money actually works. This video is
or maybe not. Maybe this is that video, Tinker. And now we've gotten to the sponsorship.
Sponsored by Odoo. Odoo is an...
Oh, you're doing an Odoo. No, I actually don't care if how money works makes any money off this video or ever produces another video again. I find some of their conclusion suspects.
No credit card required. The way that...
Good. That's helpful.
Money flows in and out of these markets can have a big impact on the way that you live your life, even if you don't actually have that much in any one of these respective piles. Increasing...
all my money is in that last pile with the Pac-Man in it. Having money would be kind of super cool.
Housing prices have become a defining financial problem of young generations as people can't afford a place to start their own lives or their own families. House prices have outpaced inflation by a lot, which I know is not exactly shocking to most of you, especially if you have watched any of the dozens of videos we have made about the structural problems and broken incentives in the housing market. But the key...
Now we have too much housing? This is what I'm saying, right? Like, they, Hobie.
Key here is that...
What up, trans women? CEO of trans women. Welcome in.
When we measure price increases relative to inflation...
I mean, MMT does help to describe what governments are actually doing as opposed to what econ classes say they are doing. Yes. And that's where I'm at. Free Samson. Free my boy Samson. You want me to run that back?
Any of the dozens of videos we have made about the structural problems and broken incentives in the housing market. But the key here is that when we measure price increases relative to inflation, we are only measuring relative to the consumption pile here with the consumer price index. The problem with this is that it doesn't reflect the changing gaps between these other money piles. Real estate, for example, has grown faster than consumer prices, but relative to fixed...
I wonder how we ended up with broken incentives. Yeah, it all makes sense, man. You don't think about it. Samson's was cool, and I look forward to the day when Samson's actually gets free of their ban and can rejoin us.
assets like gold, it's actually gone backwards. An article published by Jonathan Hobbs, a chartered financial analyst, compiled this data to show that if you were paying for the average American house today...
Oh, Moon, welcome in. Broken for who? Broken for me. He got banned. To be fair, it was only a matter of time, right? Like, you want to talk about definitely someone who memes close to the sun? They orbit that shit like Mercury.
Gold, you would be spending about half as much as you would have been back in 1991, and roughly a quarter of what you would have been paying in the early 2000s. Now, the article itself used this data to build a case for
I love that the source is stopsaving.com. Yeah, I mean, technically a suspension, right? They will return for like 30 days.
Just buying gold. But the reality is basically any assets would have had the same effect. If you were paying in S&P 500 indexes, the relative fall in house prices would have been even greater. So there are two lessons from this. One is that investing is important. I hope you already knew that.
Nice, don't I follow you already, or is this another channel?
But the deeper lesson here is that it's become much easier for people with lots of money in these piles to buy basically anything they want from these piles. There is only so much money that people can spend on consumption, so wealthy people naturally throw the rest into one of these. As they have grown, they've provided more money to people who own them, and since most of them were already maxing out what they could throw into consumption, they put even more back into these piles, creating a feedback loop of wealth generation. A basic look at the historic numbers makes this pretty clear. Market returns over the past 60 years have averaged just over 10%, and inflation has averaged just over 4%. If you include taxes, this generally means if you can consume less than 4% of your invested assets annually, you can live forever without touching your principal.
That's how you live forever.
This basic arithmetic is the foundation of things like the financial independence retire early movement. But for extremely wealthy people who can easily afford to live on less than 4% of their net worth, they can compound wealth faster than they can spend it. Now compare this to most people who earn their income by selling their time. Most wage increases are indexed to consumer prices if you are lucky, which has been the slowest growing one of these piles. This has made it harder and harder for the wages to compete when both groups want to put their money into the same area. A lot of what the wealthy are buying is different from what working people are buying.
This fucking thing is ludicrous. Like, holy shit, dude. One person owns this boat. This building of the seas. It has levels to it. It's a big boat. It's bigger than, like, it's significantly larger than my house. Like, I think my house would probably fit into, like, maybe the top section here. It probably doesn't have cannons.
But there are some areas where these cross over. Real estate is just the most obvious.
I did not buy a house with memes. It did not.
And socially destabilizing example of that. The reason this is happening now is that the growth in these asset piles has become unprecedented. We
did it, chat. Unprecedented.
Been paying a lot of attention to what the money printer has done to consumer prices, but these other money piles have soaked up much of the excess cash, and it has put non-asset owners further behind. Now, the point of this is not that inequality has become worse. You already knew that. But a new problem coming from that is how these increasingly consolidated markets are behaving. According to the Fed, participation in the stock market is approaching all-time highs, which sounds like a good thing. But this has mainly been driven by lots of people investing very small amounts of money through platforms with low fees and low barriers to entry like Robinhood. The real money in these asset markets is more consolidated than it has ever been, with the top 10% of households owning 93% of all equities the last time this data was collected at the end of 2024.
%. So 33 million Americans own 93% of the wealth. And even that is flawed. Because the more you shrink that first number, the more skewed you can see. Right? Like, how much does the wealthiest 1% own of stocks? Right? Like, it's a thing you see when you start looking at the average household wealth in the United States is heavily skewed by that top 1% or less. It's wild.
In a market panic, the reason why people sell their assets is because they want to make sure they have enough cash on hand to cover their most basic consumption needs if they lose their source of income, which for most people is their job.
And because they don't want to be left holding the bag.
Fortunately, job losses and market downturns often go hand in hand. However, as these assets have become more consolidated amongst people who can easily cover their living expenses several times over, there have consistently been more people with lots of spare cash to buy in versus the people that need to sell out to cover themselves in a hard time. Put another way, if unemployment was to hypothetically spike tomorrow for any particular reason, most of the people losing their jobs would not have a meaningful pile of assets to sell to cover themselves while they were looking for a new job. And it's not like we would miss the consumers either. A majority of the consumer spending in the economy now comes from the top 10% of households, and corporate profits are primarily driven by selling stuff to other corporations.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If ChatGPT is correct, the wealthiest 1% owns 50% of stock, which means the other 9% own 43% of the stock, right? Like, it's wild, dude. Like, the lies you can tell with those numbers is amazing.
Sounds pretty bad, right? Well, it gets worse. Remember those record-setting stock buybacks from earlier? Well, they have outnumbered net household share purchases 6-1, adding even more people to the side piling money in. If you add this to the rise of index funds that mindlessly buy and hold a broad selection of shares, it's easy to see how lopsided the market has become. Now, this does not mean that markets can't fall, but what it does mean is that they can stretch far further and stay irrational far longer than they could ever before, and while they do,
the markets are staying irrational. I was given to understand that the entire concept of American modern economics is built on the idea of the rational actor. And if the markets can be irrational, it sounds like we have a problem.
they are throwing off.
Sorry, the LUL emote doesn't work in this chat. You'll need to make a different choice to express your humor.
Money like never before for people to buy up every other asset market. Sounds pretty bad, right? Well, it gets worse. A huge amount of this money recently has been tied up in chasing returns from AI. These companies have spent trillions of dollars.
I didn't even know we were going to talk about AI. Now it's even more relevant to the channel.
On this project so far. But watch this video next to find out how it's costing all of us just as much, if not more, and don't forget to like and subscribe to keep on learning how money works.
And I guess we'll watch that at another point in time. Ardent transphobe, fuck that fucking douche. Are we doomed? Who is we? That's ultimately the question. That tells you whether or not we are doomed. Are they doomed? It depends on what happens with us. We have been known to become quite irrational. Yes, Silverlight. Yes. Yes. Oh, perfect. Dave just went live. And it's Operation Catterday. Then we're going to raid over to Echoplex Media. Stick around for the raid. You know how this works. I will update the schedule tomorrow or today. Thank you, trans women. I appreciate you. Yeah, figure we're going to do something like this. There's going to be 2 streams a week, and they're just going to vary on what day. Because your boy's a working man. In the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you forgot, and always remember that Shoggy loves you. So do I. Hey, I appreciate you, Jager. That was great shit. Phenomenal shit. Thank you for all the subs.